Sid Bendre and his team at Oleve just hit $6 million in revenue with only 6 people. You're about to see exactly how a 25-year-old Stanford student built a mobile app empire generating $500,000 per month. Their first TikTok video exploded to 2.3 million views overnight, turning into 10,000 users instantly. Now they're pulling 20 to 30% profit margins while most startups burn cash. They've cracked the code on viral mobile loops, generated 4 million total downloads, and built agentic systems that find market arbitrage automatically. You're about to learn the exact paywall strategies, viral content formulas, and team structures they use to milk alpha in any market. Plus, you'll discover how they're building AI agents to replace entire marketing functions and why Sid believes any founder can build a $1 million app in 12 months using their playbook. Hey folks, my guest today is Sid Bendre. His team is building something really remarkable. You can almost think of it like a holding company, but it didn't start out that way. They launched a tool called Quizzard, actually back in January of 2023. And Sid was thinking about joining Palantir, doing the big thing before another group of hackers said, Sid, you got to come join us. So he joined as the third co-founder. They've just skyrocketed the charts on Apple. It's really a mobile viral loop play here related to the academic space. We're going to jump into how they've built a $6 million revenue company with a very small team and all the growth loops, the struggles, the tactics, everything they learned and are learning right now. Sid, you ready to take us to the top?
Ready to jump right in.
Cool, man. Hey, let's not bury the lead. This is sort of what hooks everybody, and then we'll get into all the fun stuff, the technical stuff. What is revenue today, and what's team size?
Yeah, revenue today is 6 million ARR. Team size, we recently expanded, so now it's 6 people.
Amazing. Okay, so just to be clear, you did about $500,000, you did over $500,000 of revenue in April here of 2025.
Yep.
Okay, that's amazing. And is all that recurring, or are there a bunch of one-time purchases sort of slugged into that?
It's all like subscription based, so it's all across our mobile apps, all subscription.
Wild. Okay, let's jump into the backstory here because you originally weren't going to do this. I mean, Palantir was pretty heavily recruiting you, and your team had already sort of launched a V1, I believe, in January 2023. Tell us the backstory. When did you join?
I joined in kind of a bit after launch. The first product had gone out. It had gone with a TikTok video, got 1 million views overnight. It turned to 10,000 users, and there was almost an instant need to like continue scaling from there. One of my closest friends, actually the first person I met on campus, Mike, who's like my co-founder and the CEO.
Michael
he was the first guy. Yeah, Michael. He was the first person I met on campus. He had seen me do a lot of work on like scaling AI stuff. Specifically, I'd worked at a hedge fund for about a year doing a lot of AI research, but also had done some random stints at like, I guess like I won a Stanford Tree Hacks prize using like LLMs to control drones. And so he's like, we need you to help us like scale our AI stuff. And I'm not gonna lie, it was like earlier than I thought it'd be in terms of starting a company. I definitely was on this like, I'm gonna go to Palantir to figure out like what I build next kind of route. But when you get an opportunity to build with your friends, I think it's like an easier yes than ever.
So what was that V1 team? We see they recruited you here. So was it Michael? Is it Artrof, Ben, and you?
Yeah, it was me, Ashraf, Ben, and Michael.
Okay. Yeah, super cool. So let's jump into this really quick. Tell us what the application does. This was the first one, Quizzard. What's it do?
Yep. If you're familiar with PhotoMath, it's kind of a similar user experience where a student can take a picture of something that they're stuck on, like a concept or a question that they're working through or a practice question that they're working through, and instantly get thrown into an AI tutoring session where they go back and forth with the AI. They're given step-by-step guidance and explanation. They're even given like pointers to resources on the web, so that they can like further their learning. And the idea that was super like innovative here back in the day was that we basically like almost like mimic this PhotoMath like 24/7 tutoring experience, and took it to every subject possible, every sort of topic possible. And yeah, at a high level, this is pretty much what Quizzard is known for.
When the team launched it back in 2023, and you just have to keep me honest here in terms of how involved you were, because I know you joined a little bit later, but you were friends with these guys. That initial, like, look, I'm not a TikToker. I'm aging myself here, right? I'm 35, and how old are you?
I'm 25.
You're 25. Okay, so you got 10 years on me, right? But I'm going to try and act like I know what I'm talking about when it comes to TikTok. Which of these viral, I mean, is this the one that went, like, was it this $1.6 million one? Which one went viral?
Could you open the account?
See, I don't even know how to do that. Do I just click the thing like this?
Yeah, so could you go to oldest at the top?
Yeah. Oh, just click oldest?
Yeah, you see oldest on the right side. Yep. Yeah. That first video.
This was the one. It just took. Oh, I mean, did you do anything, or was it just total blind luck?
There was a bit of like, for context, like My co-founders had spent a lot of time in like the consumer space. Like I'd say like so Ashraf had previously run a like like sort of like meme page that was pretty large across like North Africa and like France. Mike had done a lot of consumer stuff in the past, and like Ben had also done a lot of work in marketing. He'd actually run a like Discord community around trading for a while that was pulling in a lot of revenue. I think to some extent it was like we were like one of the first in the market. If you can imagine, like ChatGPT was launched the end of November, this was launched in January, like a few months after. Not many people had heard
Yeah.
about AI. So a lot of this stuff was very like novel, so I'd say we got in at an early time, but there was definitely a lot of thought in terms of like how can we simply catch the use how we can create a very like clear hook in terms of this video. And that's why we went with this like point of view, like ChatGPT and Photomath had a baby, which clearly like exemplifies like exactly what this tool is kind of helping with. And we go right into a product demo, so people
Yeah.
understand.
And you've quadrupled down. I mean, that was an accident. You had now many videos over 1 million views. This one included. It's your most popular one. And this like immediately makes it like pop. A lot of people watching this, they're going to go, oh my gosh, my marketing team, like this doesn't even look professional. It looks like some college kid took it randomly. Like that's kind of the whole point, right? It doesn't look polished.
Yep. Exactly. Like Ben literally will walk into a lecture room and just like pull out his phone and just start doing this sort of stuff. Um, and the idea is like it needs to feel like it's not an ad because otherwise like people will not like people will not respond to it or people will know it's an ad, especially
Yeah.
students. So it needs
So
to feel
let's
super
talk.
authentic.
Let's talk about Ben for a second. And I guess give us the high level overview. So how many total downloads does the app have now today, May 8th, 2025?
I need to double check this. It's about 4 million downloads, I
This
believe.
is wild. I wanted to chat about like the team you've built because it's small and nimble. So like, who is Ben? Like, I've got his Twitter up here. I mean, he just looks like a very simple picture, like not a quant guy or anything like that. But it seems like he's like very good at growth loops. How'd you guys find him? What's his back? What's his like biggest strength?
Yeah, Ben is really good at the I'd say like the degen TikTok, like being one with the degen TikTok and knowing what will go viral. He and Mike and him were friends since middle school, so they've known each other for I think over 12 years now.
Mm-hmm.
And before this, Ben was running a Discord community where people would sort of like pay to join for memberships around like trading and stuff like that. And yeah, I guess that's like he's just had a lot of like time with marketing in that sense, and him and Mike are running our growth and marketing function. A lot of the what we've done over the last few years is sort of like reverse engineered everything that goes well. Run experiments. Broken down videos into all the different components, and sort of like rinse and repeated the playbook. That's why Unstuck, when we launched that, we were able to get to about um, 1 million users in under 9 weeks. Just because we
Mm-hmm.
took all the playbooks that we like fine tuned with Quizzard and like doubled it on for Unstuck.
I want to jump into Unstuck here because it's a web app, which is different than your mobile
Yeah.
viral loops. But let me just pause for a second here. This is the data that I've got of Quizzard. This is off Sensor Tower, formerly App Annie. So I mean, does this look about right? 100,000 downloads per 30 days is your velocity right now, and about 400,000 bucks of revenue here.
Yeah, it's roughly correct. We also have like our Unstuck, which is off of Stripe, i.e. the web app piece.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Interesting. Okay, cool. So that's where a lot of the growth is coming from, and you sort of summed up nicely on Ben's profile. Was down here a little bit where you guys ended up in that first sort of 9 months, but this was March 17th, so just call it 30, 40-ish days ago, 40, 60 days ago. Profitable in 9 months. I mean, can you share I mean, how much are you guys taking to the bottom line right now on 500K a month in revenue?
I don't know if I'm able to share those numbers specifically right now.
Can you do a percent like between 10 and 30% net income?
Oh, I would say let me pull it up and give you like a percent,
Okay, great.
like a range.
We love the transparency. It'll make people go, "Dang, I got to listen to this guy. He knows what he's talking about."
Yep.
While he's doing that, guys, we're going to jump into over the rest of the episode. A lot of the viral hooks that they put together in their onboarding flow, they didn't start off with perfect pricing. They edited their pricing model many, many times before getting to, and there's the founding team, which is kind of fun when they're graduating, before getting to the point that they're just, printing money today per month to the tune of, the EBITDA margin that Sid's about to share sort of a range of. There's Sid chilling. I believe this is maybe the office or their place in Williamsburg, New York. And you can see here, October 14th, 2023 is when they broke sort of the first million of ARR and also 1 million users at the same time, ironically. Sid, then
I'd
you
say
learn to
between
pitch.
like
Oh, go
20 to
ahead.
30%.
That's pretty darn good. Okay, cool. So 10% would be 50K. So you're saying you guys are taking something like, call it 70 to 150 grand a month, the bottom line, and net
It'll
income
vary based
profit.
on the season.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, congrats. So talk to us about, obviously generating all that revenue is not easy, right? You have to test like crazy. I'm going to share a screen. I recorded your guys' mobile onboarding experience before this call so that you could talk me through it. So I'm opening up. Just sort of walk us through this. Here's what it looks like on the App Store. So 51,000 ratings, like pretty freaking good, right? Number 31 in education. I just recorded this 30 minutes ago, right? So walk us through this. What test did you run on this first experience to just get as many people as possible to click that get button?
In terms of like, are you talking about like
The
in terms of like the App Store
graphics,
listing?
the graphics, the
Yeah,
copy, the metadata, all that. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I'd say that'd be like, um, I'm not the direct owner of like our App Store search like experiments that we run. A lot of what we do is like we'll refresh different designs. We'll try different like we'll know what keywords we want to keep the same in terms of like the title and stuff like that. But we do run a lot of experiments in terms of like the App Store listing. We've done things in the past where like um, like spellings of Quizzard that people might have messed up before. Like we tried to like double down on those as well. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, pretty much a lot of it is just like continuous experimentation, iteration, running different variations to see what people prioritize, especially like when there's specific features that we see people use the most. Like or even like question subjects, for example.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And here you guys are just this morning under free
Yep.
apps. By the way, how do you get
Yep.
categorized under free apps when you guys are actually pay? Like, is it because you have a free version, so you get under the free apps, even though you guys charge?
Yep. Yep. I guess it's because it's free to
Interesting.
use, and then you can pay. You have an app subscription for paid usage after if you want to upgrade.
Yeah, I see. Okay, let's get into that. So I'm going to click hit. I'm going to go ahead and install this, right? So you can actually take us through the onboarding because this looks so simple, but I know anything like that works this well took a lot of freaking testing. So what was your guys' original pricing model as we watched sort of the onboarding experience here? Because it wasn't recurring subscriptions, it was coins or credits, right?
On Quizzard, it was coins for a very short period of time. I actually like the first iteration of like the business model for Quizzard was everybody and all usage was free. Um, and like there's actually an interesting way in which we were able to support that because but I'll get to that in a sec. But basically everything was free on Quizzard. But we put everyone's question into a queue, and during peak times you could skip the queue if you paid for like you use a token to skip the queue. And so during peak time is when you monetize then. Um, but we realized that that wasn't necessarily like the best unlock for us. Mike actually like texted Nikita, I think, on Twitter, and Nikita was like, "Switch to weekly subscriptions and charge more" or something like that.
Who's
And
Nikita?
then we
Nikita
switched.
Bear?
Yeah,
Yeah. And you did,
but
and you did. So we're
yeah,
about to experience that, right? So I clicked install. Let's just sort of watch what happens here, right? So I'm going to click get in here, get into the experience. How much testing went into this part, right? Or is this just it's still the same thing that it was 12 months ago?
it's still the same thing it was 12 months ago. I think we did a lot of testing like right before like back to school 2023, um,
Hmm.
and have kind of like stalled a little on that there at the moment.
Do you actually based off the answers that I pick here? Do you customize my first session experience based off these inputs or no?
We do this more on Unstuck. I think with Quizzard, we do this more so to like gather data on like how we are like performing in terms of like our growth and like where is like a lot of the like attribution going to make sure that we're aligning with our most like lucrative demographics.
Yeah, and here's what I love, guys. Watch this. Right from the onboarding, but you're going to get taken right into the freaking experience. I mean, there's no dashboard, there's no dilly dallying around. It is like you are in there, right? How
Yep,
was that intentional?
that was all intentional. In fact, like when it launched, there was no onboarding at some point. It was really just like you start and then you have this screen and you're ready to go. We had no accounts,
Yeah.
nothing, no phone number sign in and whatnot. You're just sort of just like ready to just like you hit the magic moment faster. Is basically the goal.
And right when you're teasing me, I'm about to take the first picture, get my first answer. It's like boom, paywall, right? So how is this paywall performing?
It's performed pretty well. I guess like we have a mix of different like paywall events. Like it's not always like the first like right at the first interaction. So I guess for you it did. Um, in terms of metrics, we tend to stay pretty private about like specific metrics. But we do run a lot of paywall experiments. In fact, that's literally like what half the time one of my co-founders runs on is just like running a shit ton of experiments because we've seen a lot of like value from this in terms of like
Hmm.
its ability to like drive revenue change
Hmm.
significantly.
Do you know, or are you open to sharing the number, or maybe just what you think industry, like really good in the industry, is in terms of if you're getting 100,000 downloads, how many convert to something paid in the first session? Is it 2% good, 30% good? What would you say is really good?
Oh, that's a good question. I think that like how many convert to paid in the first session, as in like right away, like straight off the bat.
Like I click 96 cents a week, or I click 999 a week immediately.
I think I'd say that a lot of our like um surprisingly enough, and a lot of our like initial conversions do come from like this initial like paywall screen, like right off the bat.
Hmm.
I guess like people's willingness to pay has like increased over time because people are more used to spending on like consumer software.
Hmm. You probably don't know this exact number off the top of your head because your guys' numbers are so big at this point, but how many new customers are you guys getting every month?
Yeah, that I do not know off the top of my head, unfortunately.
That's
Yeah.
okay. That's okay. Do you know a range? I mean, are we talking like of the 100,000 downloads, 10,000 are paying immediately?
Um, I do not know range, unfortunately. Yeah, sorry about
Okay.
it.
All right. Let's keep going forward. Let's keep going forward here, right? So I don't take this offer, and I go back into the experience here in a second. And you guys do something really clever, which I just want the audience to see, right? So I click free 3-day trial, and it's asked me to double click, and I don't double click because I'm like, no, no, I want to use it first, right? I want to experience it. And notice it's 999 per week. And what's interesting is when I exit out of this, I go back into the experience, and then you guys hit me with this. So a couple questions on this. I'm guessing this converts really freaking well. And I also am curious, is there some software tool you guys are using to test these kind of in-app offers like this?
Yeah, I think like initially we were doing a lot of stuff ourselves manually. I believe now we've like recently started like using things like Superwall to sort of like support a lot of this like paywall experiments.
What is that? Superwall.com?
Superwall, I believe it's superwall.com. They're basically like a paywall experimentation platform. Yeah, superwall.com.
Yeah, Superwall. Yep, yep. Okay, cool. So that's that. Can you comment any on this? Did you guys' team on Slack share a screenshot and say we launched this thing and it worked really well? Do you have any idea on if this is working well?
It was working well. This was launched a while ago, i.e. like a few months ago, so kind of not remembering the exact numbers of this, to be honest.
Yeah. It's wild though. If I do want to take advantage of the free 7-day offer. So if I don't want the 3-day offer, I go to 7 days. Now, if I convert, it's going to take me directly from the free 7 days right into $70 per year instead of the 999 per week. So guys, just really interesting testing here. Again, I think, Sid, it's really interesting. I'm kind of on the lookout for founding teams that have built a process to run the most tests at the same time, because I think that's who's going to win in this
Yeah,
space. Whoever runs the most tests the fastest wins. How many tests are you guys
100%.
running right now across all your products?
There's probably like 6 to 7 on one and maybe like 3 or 4 or 5 on another. I think like for us, literally like I'm so glad you touched on that because like that's like a huge part of like the space entirety. Like every time we build a new product, like we build in our experimentation like infrastructure like as a first piece that like goes into the software. In fact, like so the way we operate now is we have a lot of like we have like the way we've structured the company in the way that we think would scale is we have like three different arms right now. We have our growth and marketing arm, we have our like product engineering arm, and then we have a platform arm. Growth and marketing is kind of like clear in the name and what it does. The product engineers, we effectively hire engineers who are effectively like CEOs of the product, i.e., they're living in the metrics and their day to day is to live and own and like breathe their apps and like make them successful. Um, and so this is run by my co-founder Ashraf. And then the third like org that I recently started is called the platform org. Now, the interesting thing about this org is a little more detached from a day to day of like of a single product. It does include the traditional pieces of like um, general platformization of any tech company where you consolidate services and stuff like that. But I
Mm-hmm.
usually pitch that the like platform team is kind of a role of empathy, where the goal is we look at every system running through the company, we abstract them into like processes, and we figure out ways that we can build tooling to augment, scale, or completely nullify those steps in those processes. So, for example, like at the smallest level, it's like building like tooling to like building all our universal infrastructure. So, for example, every time we launch an app, we have a blueprint that like has baked into it all the coding tricks and tips that we've built over the last few years. So from day one, the product engineer can sort of like have that built into, ready to go. So all the way we do experiments, all the ways we run, notifications, all the ways we do all these sort of like little tips and tricks are already baked in from day one with the same tooling. So that like,
Hmm.
a product engineer can move from product A to product B and still know how to like navigate and like grow in that like domain.
Yeah.
The other part of platform that's like really exciting for me is the ability to sort of like now staff like different units with like agents effectively. So it's like I'm basically right now, like for the last month, I've been like interning on the like growth and marketing team because my entire goal is to observe every process and turn that into some like a set of like tools and like flows that we can build either through general automations, but are also like build basically staffing them with their own agents to scale their processes. Um,
Wait, Sid, you have to show me something. Can you like what app do you use to build these agents? Can you give me a tease of that? Give me a tease of like an agent you're building because you observed a process like a historian on your growth team and you're going, I can make an agent that's repeatable on that costs us nothing to run over time after the initial investment.
Yeah, I think like I don't really have like a drag and drop sort of thing to like that we use to build it. It's mostly like I write code around it, but like I'd say one of the like domains in which we found a lot of um like a need for has been like sourcing. Like we've also heard of other companies kind of build around this space too, where basically like building agents to help us like source better like creators, but also like building agents to help us like research the markets to figure out where there's arbitrage like app opportunities to jump into.
Like what
That's the sort of
specifically?
like
Like a keyword where there's a lot of search happening but not a lot of results.
in terms of like or what do you mean?
Sourcing
What do
what?
you mean?
When you say when you say
Oh,
sourcing like opportunities or
yeah.
arbitrage, what do you mean by? Give me a real
Like
example.
so for example, it's like we like have we have tools internally that help us that are effectively like studying the app store where we figure out okay for each category like what like how well are different apps doing and how well are those performing in terms of like the playbooks that we know how to deploy in terms of growth and marketing. So what that means by that is like if for example we were to launch like Quizzard again, right? We'd like see that hey like Quizzard like the education space is actually like for some reason, we've noticed that the education space actually tends to have like a relatively like um, pricier subscription rate for a lot
Mm-hmm.
of things, mostly because like people tend to churn. We'd
Mm-hmm.
also see like that there are now a lot of companies in the space that are deploying the same playbooks, and so what we might conclude is it might be harder to jump into the space because our main like I guess like advantages are already sort of being deployed, and so I guess a lot of what we do is like build tools internally to do a lot of research to figure out what the right next product is. And so we have like one product that's in stealth right now that we're launching in the next few weeks. But that was all based on a lot of this like research that was done
So
in
Sid,
advance.
is anything off limits, or is it anything on the app store? In other words, you Oleve, the holding company, you might not just build education apps, but if you sense an opportunity when you go in here and you find some arbitrage opportunity in business apps, you'd go build that thing because building code's so easy now, and then use your IP. You're basically saying your IP are these systems you've built, these loops, these things that you know work over and over in this part of the real estate, the app store, if it was real estate.
Yeah, exactly. I think like Unstuck was probably our last like consumer ed tech product.
Mm-hmm.
Our next currently in stealth app is actually like our first app that's not ed tech at all.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So is it B2B? Is it software?
Oh no, it's all consumer apps, but it's just
Oh,
not ed tech.
consumer.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. Really interesting. Okay, what should I be asking about that I haven't asked about?
Um, ooh, I'd say. Hmm. I guess like
Like,
yeah,
what's
I'm
giving you a
kind
ton
of
of energy right now where you're like, man, Nathan has not given me an opportunity to talk about that yet?
I think
Just think about
like
your last week.
I think the it's like the I wish we were more public as a company. That's like my biggest like blocker here, like in this
Why
moment.
not? You guys are a lot of your growth is because you're building in public. I mean, you're recruiting people. The reason you get such high response rates on your LinkedIn posts is because people know you're at $6 million of revenue with a 5-person team. Why not lean into that?
I think for us, like we've seen, we like when we launch into a new space or we launch a lot of our strategies, like a lot of it is like I guess for lack of a better word, we're pretty much in a competitive market. There's a bunch of other folks also that build like apps as well, or that there are a bunch of domains that we are going to be entering that, people are building entire teams around that single app. Um, our concern, and we've seen this before, is like um, when we launch, for example, marketing strategies that do really, really well. So, for example, like in the fall of 2023, we ran this like man on the street campaign where if you search like Harvard, Boston, Columbia, NYU on TikTok, we were the first three videos, if not the first five. And so, like the moment that took off and did really, really well, then we started seeing people like kind of try and milk that alpha after, and it sort of like fizzled out and lost its alpha. So I think like in some sense, I'd liken ourselves to like a trading company where there's a lot of alpha, it needs to be milked ASAP. There's an arbitrage opportunity to jump into, and the moment that signal is known, it sort of like loses its value. So I'd say that like we are public with every app that we are public about. I guess what I mean by that is like our plan is to always go public with an app that we've worked on, but we never we never like highlight it in when it's in its nascent phase, because if other people jump into that same market right away or like deploy the same tactics, it's just going to affect our CAC. So it's not really to our benefit, to be honest, to like start or like to be public in the earlier part of it. But like once it's hit critical mass and we're like, hey, this app that's doing a few million ARR is also like an Oleve company.
Yeah. No, that makes complete sense to me. It makes complete sense. What I'm hunting for as I interview all these founders, I've interviewed over 3,000 founders over the past 10 years, is I'm trying to just figure out where the alpha in the future is going to be. I think everyone is already aligned, at least people like you that are on the forefront, that the engineers winning just because it's a good product is sort of anyone can do that now. Now it's about marketers and creativity is going to win. And to your point, whoever codifies the creativity and also milks, I'm going to use your own words, I'm going to probably title this podcast this, you got to quote, milk that alpha, right? Like whoever can milk it the longest, like that's a great position. But really it's the genes you build to keep delivering and finding new alpha over and over and over, faster and faster and faster.
Exactly. I think like to some extent we're operating like a game studio where a lot of it is the operating playbook and the tools you use to scale that operating playbook, because like that will be your defining edge if you're able to continue. Like it's a hits-based game. So us continually being able to do that is kind of what I guess drives us. Because for us, we're really interested in winning in any market. It's like, isn't that crazy? Like you can throw me in any market and I know that I'm going to build a $1 million app. Like that's kind of what we like really enjoy and what we want to build these systems around, because then we have this like insane like operating playbook, but a lot of this is like codified, as you said, into like systems that will help us like scale. So effectively what I'm really excited about is what this platform team is building towards, which is like I'm like building like systems to help us like run all our operations as I guess at like the scale that software can take us, because eventually Oleve should be a place of tastemakers where we have like a lot of operations run by agents. Like that would be like an ideal future where I have two buttons, which is the find app to build button where I'm deploying all my tooling to help us identify the opportunities, and I have a go viral button which like launches a bunch of like agentic workflows and tools to sort of scale our operations and like make an app go viral.
Do you ever take Oleve and switch it from actually building the end consumer app to actually selling the pickaxes to the gold miners?
That's a good question. That's actually something that we've been thinking about internally, and that we want to build our tool. Like a lot of the tools that we build to like ideally be used across vertical. So it is definitely, and it's like, it's interesting that you pick on it. It's definitely one of the paths that we've considered.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, dude, thank you for carving out time for me. This is so fun for me. Thank you for allowing me to just be curious and ask you anything. I can't wait to see what you guys build. If people want to learn more about you, Sid, or follow you online, where's the best place they can do that?
I think Twitter or LinkedIn is probably the best way to do that.
Guys, there you have it. Oleve launched their first app, Quizzard, back in January of 2023 to a viral TikTok video with 2.3 million views. They've repeated that playbook over and over and over to the tune of over almost 4 million total downloads, doing $500,000 a month in revenue right now, profiting bottom line between 10 and 20%. They're reinvesting all that money and that talent back into a platform play where they're building agentic systems, marketing, creativity to basically reuse these same playbooks no matter what space they go into. So the only question is, what space can they go and leverage this arbitrage on next? Stay tuned. They're launching something new here shortly. Sid, thanks for taking us to the top.
Thank you so much, Nathan.